and we have a wonderful show for you tonight. On my left is Jeremy Vernon, and he's the funniest comic I have ever seen and laughed at. I'm not much for comedians, and I told him that, but he's really funny.
You're too kind.
And it's such a pleasure having you on the show, Jeremy.
The pleasure is mine.
Okay, and his background has been so very interesting. He has worked with top people, top celebrities as Robin Williams, Dean Martin, and so many. First of all, I want to find out what motivated you to get into this business. What made you get into the business, showbiz?
Very good question. I think from the time I was little, I wanted to do comedy.
Why?
My mother told me when I was 5 years old I wanted to be a comedian. I don't know. I guess I just saw comedians and I thought, that looks like a fun way to make a living. And it is. It is fun.
I think it's one of the most difficult jobs, right?
People say that, but I've always enjoyed it.
And you've worked all over, and cruise ships, and such variety, and so on and so forth. May I ask you, what has been, you did Robin Williams. That was wonderful. You were on the shore.
Yes, that was thrilling.
Was that one of the
He was great to work with. He's such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He was really very generous as an actor.
Would you say that was one of the best things that you have done on the show?
It was one of my favorite things, yes. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, he does Jerry Lewis.
No, I don't.
Very
I don't
good.
do it anymore.
Oh, I know, but you did, definitely. And besides him being so talented as a comedian, later on he's going to sing a beautiful song for us, okay? And then I'm going to ask him to do one comedy routine about a pilot. And I think it's the Italian pilot, right? That's one of my favorites.
That's one of them.
That's one of them, but
You got a couple? You got a German? You got an Italian?
Okay.
Okay.
Will you do the Italian one for me?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Sure.
Can we get a little bit of that now?
Oh, sure. Okay, so the Italian, this is your pilot, Benzino Gasolini, and your co-pilot, Testosterone. We're flying today from Fiumicino Airport in Roma to Roma Airport in Fiumicino. Dinner will be served on board, $1.50 a slice. And watch out for flying sausages.
Okay, and the German one?
The German is, Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Please sitzen Sie sich und anschnappen die Seatbelten, ausmachen die Zigaretten und nicht getotschen die Stewardessen an the Buben.
I want to ask you, when you do these and practice or mimic people, how long do you study in the mirror and look at yourself?
I never do that. I've never done it in the mirror. No,
you don't.
I know people do that. I don't.
How do you do that?
I just imagine what I look like. I do things with my face, if
But you don't want to see what that looks like?
I'll see it on the tape. No, I don't. I really don't. I never did. I just go out and do it, and whatever happens, happens.
It flows out.
I never thought about it.
But I'm sure you're a people watcher, and you've been.
Oh yeah.
That's how.
Sure.
I'm sure you learn the different things. And
for sure, it's true.
Everything like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you had kids, would you want your child to go into showbiz?
That's up to the kid.
Suppose he wanted to be a comedian.
Whatever it's their life, If I had little children, whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want.
I wouldn't stop them. My mother tried to stop me.
What did she want you to be?
Well, I studied art.
Oh, yeah.
And I worked for a couple of years for Terry Toon's animation studio. And my mother didn't want me to be in show business. She used to quote there's a song called "There's a broken light for no, there's a broken heart for every light on Broadway." And she tried to talk me out of it. Oh, you do so good with the art, and until she found out I was making more money than my father, and then she was my biggest fan.
Then she liked it. I think people years ago, it's like my grandmother, my mother wanted to be in show business.
Oh, yeah?
She had a good voice. They sent her to State Teachers College. They wouldn't allow her to be in show business. But I believe in following a passion. And you followed your passion
I did.
all of these years. And I might say he's a fabulous dialect coach, and he's good. You speak how many languages?
7 or 8.
Yeah. I speak one, a little bit of Spanish, that's it.
Okay. I do mostly dialect coaching in any language.
And that's hard.
Yeah. I don't have to speak the language. I can, I can know the dialect because I hear it. I hear people.
Oh, he hears it. And he's also told me when he hears reporters on television and everything like that, he would say, now, they're not saying that properly. It should be this way, not that way.
They're very sloppy grammar on television.
Because that was your business too. You did that. That's why you know so much about it.
Yeah, probably so.
Because the average person doesn't know that. They don't.
Well, they're not teaching grammar in schools as they did when I was in school.
That's true.
Apparently, people are saying they gave it to my wife and I instead of me.
Me,
and
right.
I heard a reporter the other day say her and her son went to school instead of she and her son, whatever it was, It's
Right.
just,
Well, the average person wouldn't even know that, really.
It gets my hackles up when I hear that.
And another thing, this gentleman loves cats, all different types of cats.
Large
Lions,
cats, small cats.
cheetahs, small cats, all types. And there's pictures that he has with lions. And I said, how could you be with that lion? And snake. You had a snake around your neck. How could you like snakes?
They're only animals.
Oh my goodness. And he does animals, and he feeds the squirrels. I mean, he's a lover of all animals, and I must say nature. So, like I said, he's been very busy during his lifetime, doing his passion, his singing, and his comedy routines and everything, and which he still does today. And you were at what, the Comedy Store or the Improv? And
I did all of
something?
those.
You did
Yeah, I was at all that,
Yeah,
Comedy Store,
right.
Improv. I
But-
worked several improvs around the country.
Right, but you were at one of them not that long ago, I think. And you said Richard Lewis is there and somebody else. It might have been a few years
I
back.
think it was the Improv,
Improv.
probably.
And then you got up and did your routine and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Comedy, I saw this on TV the other day where they mention that you're not allowed to take comedy from another person when you do comedy, another comedian.
Yes, we saw that.
Yes,
on
yes.
Mrs.
What's the
Maisel.
story on that?
It was considered unethical to lift an entire routine from another comedian.
Well,
a
I
whole
should
routine.
think that would be unethical.
To take a joke, even a line, some people would get angry if you stole a line from their act, an original line. But there are certain jokes that we call stockies, stock jokes that are going around, like two men walked into a bar and blah, 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 that kind of thing. And that's called a story. And those are public domain. Nobody can really claim
Right.
ownership of those.
Well, did anyone take any of your material
Yes.
and use it?
Yes.
You don't want to mention.
Well, no, I'll mention. There was a British comedy team, Ullet and Hendra, who took my entire airlines piece, word for word, all the countries, and I did, in addition to Germany and Italy, I did Japan and Spain and quite a few, Sweden. They took it all, they did it on television. So when I was on the Tonight Show, and it went very well for me the first time, and I tried to get back, and they said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'll do the rest of the airline bit that I haven't done. He said, no, that's Ullet and Hendra's bit. I said, it's not. They took it from me, and I had to confront them to make them stop doing it. And then there was another comedian who became a writer. His name was Hank Bradford, and he took a road signs bit from me, where I did a thing about men working slow. No wonder they're getting paid by the hour. That kind of, various signs.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was doing it all over the Playboy circuit. And he became a writer on The Tonight Show. And then what happened? I couldn't do that on The Tonight Show because they said it belongs to Hank Bradford.
Oh, my God. How could somebody do something like that?
It's not ethical, I can tell you that. And I would never steal a whole... I've taken jokes from people.
Right.
And maybe ideas or some, little lines.
But they know eventually...
When I started, once I got established, I did only my own material.
But don't ever think that you eventually will find out and you'll see it or someone will tell you?
Yeah, they're not afraid.
That's what I don't understand. What is the...
I don't understand.
What is one of the hardest jobs, comedy jobs, or a place that you performed that was very hard to do, very difficult?
Well, let's see. Any place where you get a dull audience.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because
if you get an audience that's not in the mood, and I've had to follow a singer who ends a song crying about her mother, Mama, and she's crying, and now here's your comedian.
How do you do that, and how do you grab the audience and get their attention, and then
tough.
Eventually loosen them up? How do you
you just keep
handle that?
working until you get to them. That's it.
Is there a particular joke or something that loosens them up?
Well, a good I don't know. I didn't think of it at the time, but you have later thoughts, and you think, well, I wish I'd have said, gee, it's always fun for a comedian to follow a tragedy like this,
Yeah, really.
But then you'd be putting down the other act, so you don't want to do that either.
Oh, my goodness, I'm just thinking about that.
I'm trying to think about, what do you think the hard job? I've had some hard jobs where...
Were you ever booed? And what would you say if say if someone booed you on from the audience? How would you handle that? Would you handle it that way?
Yeah, I haven't. I've been very lucky. I never had hecklers. But one thing, I used to do an impression of the Irish actor Barry Fitzgerald.
Oh, Barry
And
Fitzgerald.
in order to do that, I used to turn away from the audience and put on some wire-in glasses down here like this, and then I turn back to the audience and I go, oh, well, no, let me talk about it, or whatever it was. So one night I'm working in a club out of town somewhere, and I turn around, and in order to get in the mood, the band is playing the Irish Tura Lura Lura, right?
Right.
I turned back to the audience. There's an old couple dancing on the floor in front of me. And then he turns to me and he said, why'd you stop the music?
That was the unexpected.
Now, that's not a heckle, but
No.
that's a funny thing.
Yeah, that
you
is
had
funny.
to laugh at
That is real funny.
I don't think I've been heckled. I can't remember that.
Okay, of all the people that you mimic, which is your favorite that you enjoy doing?
Well, when I was doing mimicry, which I don't do anymore, I was the first person to do Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh.
I would do, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our story tonight concerns a young man who had long hair growing from his nose. He got hay fever and flogged himself to death. I took that line from a comedian on Broadway when they used to have live shows.
Okay.
That's one line. That's one line I took, I have to admit, when I was very young.
So How old were you when you got your first job? Oh, you were in the Catskills, too.
Well,
My
before
goodness.
that, I won a talent contest at a club in New York called 1/5 Avenue. And the prize for winning was a week's engagement, a week's paid engagement. That was my first
Oh,
job.
how exciting.
And then I was seen by an agent who booked me in a nightclub on Long Island with a young singer, Edie Gourmet.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was wonderful. I was her opening act.
Oh,
And at the time, she was dating her future husband,
Steve
Steve Lawrence.
okay.
And Steve came back, and I say I was doing all impressions at that time. And Steve came back and he said, you know, I do impressions. And he started doing Frankie Fontaine doing John L.C. Savoni.
I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting around listening to the radiator.
And he did that
That's
whole
Jackie
thing for me.
Gleason's show, right? Wasn't he on there?
Yes, he went. He became Crazy Guggenheim.
Right,
But
right.
first he was L.C. Savoni. Anyway, and Steve Lawrence said to me, you know, you do impression, I do impression. We could do a double act. I said, I think you'd be better off doing a double act with Edie Gourmet. And he did.
Oh, God.
Not because I said so, but he did.
Right, right. Name some other people you worked with. Oh, that Dean Martin show was great. I saw the tape
Yeah,
on that.
yeah,
When he introduced you and everything, and you did your thing, and
This is, Dean Martin saw me the night before on The Tonight Show, and I told you it went very well for me.
right, right.
And he called up my agency and requested me. So now the agent calls me in New York. You want to hear this?
Yes, yes, yes. Come on, definitely.
He said to me, he said, Jeremy, how are the girls in New York? And I said to him, Don, whatever his name was, I said, I haven't heard from you in a year, and I'm sure you're not calling me to ask how the girls are in New York. He said, well, no, I'm always thinking of you, even though I don't call you, and I think I can get you on the Dean Martin show. And I said, well, how do you think you can get me on the Dean Martin show? He said, because Dean saw you and he asked for you. And I said, Dean
Great.
asked for me, and you think you can get me on the show? You think you can get me on? And I went through a whole thing, but he finally wound
But
up
you
laughing.
finally, yeah.
And it was great. I did the show.
And
I
then
loved
you
Dean
did the
Martin.
show and
Dean Martin
everything.
was a lovely guy. He was
Yeah.
really nice.
What was the favorite show you were on? I think it was with Robin Williams, wasn't it?
Well, that was a different thing. I didn't do my act. With Robin Williams, I impersonated a character,
it was Jerry Lewis, right, yeah.
But in the script, they called him Jerry Looney.
Looney.
It was loosely based on Jerry Lewis.
Right.
So I did that, and Robin was very, as I said, he was very gracious to me. Here's what happened. There was one scene where it was a close-up of me, and I was supposed to be talking to Robin, but I'm looking directly into the camera.
Uh-huh.
And Robin said, let me stand next to the camera so that you'll have someone to talk to. He didn't have to do that. That was generous. So he's standing next to me, and I'm looking at him, and he had these bright blue eyes, and I was mesmerized.
By his eyes?
I was hypnotized, and I couldn't speak.
Oh,
And the
my
director said, "Your line, Jeremy."
Oh, that's funny. That's a funny bit.
Yeah,
Oh, my God, yeah.
I was so sad. Well, anyway, yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah. So you worked with Julia Prowse.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, long time
You did
ago.
a long time ago.
She
She
was-
was a great singer and dancer. She worked in Vegas, too, and everything. Peggy Lee.
Peggy Lee at the Copacabana, yeah. And this is another story I have to tell you. When when I was booked to open at the Copa, my first time at the Copacabana,
Yeah, that's in New York
famous,
City, to
famous
tell the
club,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
was like
it
the
was.
top nightclub.
When did they close? When did they close?
72.
But that was one of the most
So
fantastic
this was back
nightclubs.
when.
Right.
And everyone said to me, "Oh, you're working with Peggy Lee. That's the best booking of the season. Peggy Lee, well, that brings the top audience." And so one day I'm getting a haircut, and Steve Lawrence is sitting in the next chair. At this time, he's a big star with Edie Go Steve and Edie.
Right.
And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm opening the Copa with Peggy Lee." He said, "Oh, that's a good booking." I said, "It's the best booking of the season. What are you doing, Steve?" He said, "We're going to the Copa." I wanted to jump onto the ground.
Oh, my glory be. Yeah. How about Bobby Van?
I didn't
you
know
ever work
Bobby
with-
Van.
when he
No,
did-
I didn't. I don't think I
he
ever worked with him.
Worked with him.
But-
He was at the Copa too. I mean, all these talented people and everything that were, and you're still here, still doing
Yeah, I'm
your.
walking around.
What do they say? Your shtick, your
My shtick.
comedy. What is that term?
Shtick.
Shtick.
Yeah, doing your shtick.
Doing your shtick.
That's right.
That's a Jewish term, right?
Well, it is, but it comes from the German word shtick, which is a piece. So it became a piece of business was your shtick.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you're
Well,
back.
actually, I'm sorry. I don't want to mislead you. In German, it's Stück, with U with the two dots, with the umlaut. Ein Stück.
And shtick.
And in Jewish, it's a shtick, a shtickel.
A
you know.
shtickle. You know, I have to say, I like the Jewish term. It's a little bit more flowery than the German.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. I
it's
like
soft.
the flowery thing. Yeah, a
that's
little
right.
bit of that and everything.
Yeah.
And he's also a connoisseur of opera.
I love the opera, yes.
He loves the opera. And I think because he was born in Europe,
Germany.
in Germany, and that's why so many people, they know how to speak so many languages because they
Yeah.
had that, their schooling, their background. And it's such an asset, and they know all the operas and everything.
When I went to school, I went to PS 93 in Manhattan.
In Manhattan? Well, you lived in Manhattan a long time.
I did. I practically grew up. After we emigrated from Germany, we went to Italy for 5 years
Uh-huh.
in the northern part of Italy. And then
Right.
when we came to New York, I basically grew up in Manhattan from age 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is your funniest joke that you think?
Uh-oh.
The funniest one.
Uh-oh.
Think about that for a second. I guess it's hard because, like I said,
I didn't
he
know you were
tells
gonna ask me
so
that.
many of that. Well, I'm spontaneous. I get the urge. What can I tell you?
The funniest joke. I'm trying to think of one that I can say on television.
You know, I say to them, how do they remember all these things? It's so difficult. I can't even remember one, that is. It's so hard.
Well, let's see.
I mean, one that we could tell on the air.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's the hardest thing at all. And he's also writing a book,
Yes.
right? He's compiling a book about his life and
Actually,
his passion.
2 books.
2 books.
That one about nightclubs and the Catskills and television, and the other one is about cruising. It's a tell-all book about cruises and what people do below decks.
Oh, is that like the Love Boat, but it's a little bit more risque?
It's a lot unlike the Love Boat.
That should be interesting. People are just curious.
Oh, you
Did
would-
you ever work on a Love Boat?
I did once, yes.
Oh, you did?
I think it was it a Princess?
Yeah, I think it's the Princess Line. But
I
they
did,
say
and
Love Boat.
all the people came on and they were filming. And
Uh-huh.
all the whole
Oh, that used to be such a good
the
series.
crew and cast, you know, it was kind of fun with them, yeah.
Uh-huh. Did you work with the entertainment directors on those ships at all?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure, the cruise directors, they have a nice thing. I just read a book about a cruise comedian, and he mentioned this, but it's something that I've been saying a long time. The cruise directors will steal your jokes and do them when you're not there, but sometimes they make a mistake and they do it in front of you, and then you can't use that joke.
So they tell jokes?
Cruise
So,
directors,
yeah, they
and
do
how?
their own act?
Oh, Oh, yeah, they all think they're comedians or singers or some kind of, entertainer. Some of them are okay. But once in a while, you get one of those who just takes your jokes. And I told this one guy, I won't mention names, but his initials were Mark Edwards. And I said to him, you just did a joke that I do in my act. I didn't know, I forgot. I said, well, why do you do jokes anyway? You're a cruise director. He said, oh, my people expect it of me, my people. So then I said, well, don't do it. And he did it again the second show. You do 2 shows a night. He did it the second seating. I said, you're doing the same joke. Oh, I forgot. I called up my agent. I said, don't ever book me with this guy again. And he said, I'll put your name on the list.
Oh, my God. All these stories. You have all these things to tell in your book. That's what it's all about.
Is it time?
Anyhow, you had a good life. You have a great life now. And do you have anything that you would like to do in the near future besides your comedy routines and your book? Do you have anything behind your mind?
I want to get a singing career.
Oh,
I want to be the oldest crooner in the world.
Okay, all right. And you said you're going to try America's Got Talent?
I think, yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to try that.
You should. That'll be wonderful.
And there's another senior talent show on television that I'm looking into.
Go for it. Go for it.
I forgot what it... Well, why not?
That's the best.
Quand elle me prend dans ses bras, elle me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Elle me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Elle est entrée dans mon cœur, une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est elle pour moi, moi pour elle dans la vie. Elle me l'a dit, me jurer pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
You're very talented, and thank you for watching Between Takes. And please join us again and have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.